The silent demographic. The silent demographic was also known as the builders, the maturist, and the traditionalist. They were born between the years 1925 and 1945. This means that if you were to calculate their ages in 2019, their ages would range between 74 to 94 years. Looking at the key traits of the silent demographic, they valued logic and discipline, stability, and they wanted a legacy. They want to feel needed and they demand quality and simplicity. They are conservative and have traditional family values. They understand the nobility of sacrifice for the common good. Historical events that happened during their lifetime: the Great Depression, World War II, the Cold War, McCarthyism, the start of the civil rights movement, the UN is formed, the first talkie movie, The Jazz Singer, came out, and Walt Disney introduced Mickey Mouse. Let's look at some formative experiences that they went through. The silent generation started out as children of crisis. They were the children that lived through the Great Depression that followed the First World War. They grew up while older people were fighting wars and making sacrifices on their behalf. Children were seen and not heard. There was wartime rationing. There was rock and roll. There was the nuclear families. There was defined gender roles, particularly for women. Some fought in the Korean War and during the Vietnam War. Men typically worked while women stayed at home to raise children. They focused on their careers rather than on activism and were largely encouraged to conform to social norms. They were adverse to debt and they became the wealthiest generation. They possess superb interpersonal skills. Let's look at the mindset of the silent generation. These were a group of people who did not express their opinions publicly. They rarely talked about changing the system. Instead, they wanted to work within the system. They lived through rationing and austerity, and they believed in hard work and a waste not, want not mentality. They looked to ideas of others on how to behave and what to think, and they preferred the ideas of others to their own, but they were willing to learn new technology. Let's look at the signature product that came out for the silent generation. It was the automobile. The communication preference of the silent generation is a formal letter.
Quote by James Patterson. I'm always pretending that I'm sitting across from somebody. I'm telling them a story and I don't want them to get up until it's finished. End quote.